My review of Season 8 of Game of Thrones, Episode 3, but also Season 8. Notice the abstract art in the background because basically that's all we're getting anymore. An abstraction. Abstract means taken out of context, and that's kind of where we're at as a society. We're taken out of context. We don't know the context of the food we eat because we're removed from the murder of the chicken, so we just eat the chicken at McDonald's. It's all out of context, so that's why I guess we get art like the shit you see on the screen right now. I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones. I've watched every season at least 5 times. And, okay, the first 2 episodes were purely expository. Nothing happened at all. It was just reunions, and it was terrible. The 3rd episode, which just came out last Sunday, is action-packed, and you can't see anything. And they kill the Night King. Spoilers. They kill the Night King before he had a chance to do anything. He was of no... Basically, he went out like a bitch. For 8 seasons, we've been fearing his arrival. He finally arrives and he gets killed the second he arrives. Very randomly. And as I said to a friend recently, the Night King, if you kill him, it kills all of his army. So he should never be putting himself out in the open like that. That's like in chess if you put your king in the middle of the board. It was ridiculous in every way. It was a huge letdown. And basically, they dropped the ball on Season 8. They don't have George R.R. Martin writing their stories anymore, and we're seeing how bad they are at writing stories. I mean, it was cool seeing the Night King get killed finally, but I think we're all going to look back in the years to come. We're going to look back at that episode as, like, ridiculous and terrible. And now there's 3 episodes left, but 3 episodes of what? It won't be the Night King. It'll be a bunch of more reunions, and it'll be anticlimactic and probably predictable. And there's going to be a lot of sappy shit, cheesy stuff where, you know, so-and-so gets married and they fall in love, so-and-so, which is absolutely not what we want from Game of Thrones. But that's what it's going to be. It's going to be terrible, I guess. And I don't know, I guess I'm happy about it, but I'm also, you know, it's too bad they couldn't have gone out on a high note. But what do you do? What do you do when the writer won't finish his books? You got to end it somehow. I think they're just trying to get out. They're like, we're out of material. We got to end this. Let's just try not to piss too many people off. It kind of reminds me of one of the Hobbit movies where Gandalf said something at one point, like in the 3rd movie, and I thought, there's no way J.R. Tolkien wrote that dialogue. And you can tell that it's not even the original writer that thought of this crap, because it's so crude and poorly written. And that's basically what Game of Thrones has devolved into. It's just shabby writing now. Season 8 doesn't even bear any resemblance to Season 1 in terms of tone. Season 1, you would say, oh my god, I can't believe they went there. This show's crazy. Season 8, it's more like romantic. It's like a fairy tale. They're going around on riding dragons while they're in love. It's cheesy, it's sappy, and nothing unexpected happens. And you never say, oh my god, I can't believe they did that. That's so wrong. And that kind of was the character of the show, was that they would go in directions where you would think, they can't do that. I've never seen a show that would allow the protagonist to die like that. Well, this is not what's happening in this last season. It's all the protagonists are following the cookie cutter formulas, and they're all going to live happily ever after. It's really bad. But the exciting thing is that there's only three episodes left, and then I make good on my vow to not watch any TV anymore, or movies. Aside from movies and TV that's incredibly great, which will only there'll only be a show that's great or a movie that's great once every few years. So basically, yeah, no more movies or TV for me after this Game of Thrones finishes. And you know, you want to put me down for how much I put all this shit down. But the thing is that I've got good things to talk about. This is like my only Game of Thrones video, and then I'm done. And then I talk about things that are worth talking about. So I'm not just a hater, I just hate the things that suck. I think I'll make 3 more Game of Thrones videos after the last 3 episodes come out, and maybe I'll make another video just about Game of Thrones in relation to, what else is going on in the media, an overall Game of Thrones video. And then I'm basically done with Game of Thrones. That'll be over. I'm already done with Marvel. I don't think I can make too much about that anymore because it's dead. So there you go. Talk to you later. If you support gays, click like. If you respect blacks, comment. If you think women are people too, click the notification bell. And if you care about sick children, subscribe. After credits scene. I've been reading a book called The Insulted and Injured by Dostoevsky. It was written about 150 years ago. And this is what's been happening so far. I'm just at the beginning. An old man goes into a restaurant with his dog. The dog is just as old as he is. They're like 90. They're decrepit. They're falling apart. They look like shit. And the old man is in a dementia. He's not even, he doesn't have his shit together. And he's just looking off into space, but he happens to be looking at one guy in the room, accidentally. And the guy gets all upset. He's like, stop staring at me. Why are you staring at me? Look at somebody else. You're making me uncomfortable. And then he starts yelling at him because the old man won't stop looking at him. And then he starts yelling at him. And then finally the old man realizes what's been going on and that he's been upsetting everybody. And he apologizes profusely and leaves. And he calls for his dog to come follow him. But he turns around and the dog's dead. Everybody in the restaurant practically starts crying because they realize, like, this poor old man, look what we've been doing. We're telling, and they're all apologizing and we're so sorry. I can't believe I talked to you like that. And the old man doesn't understand anything. All he knows is that his dog's dead, and he leaves and he goes and sits on a park bench. And they go to help him, and they realize that he's dead. And it's a really cool little intro because the book is called The Insulted and Injured. And it's like, well, that's kind of on topic. But it also illustrates so much of what Dostoevsky's main idea is throughout his novels about how people are suffering and sad and insulted and angry and how much damage they cause from their own injury and insults. And they end up insulting other people and hurting other people for no reason at all. And then they realize that they shouldn't have, and then they feel terrible and the guilt they feel. That's like everything Dostoevsky's all about. So what a cool opening for that book. I've never been disappointed with a Dostoevsky book. He changed my life. And this is the last book of everything. I've read everything by him except for this book. So I purposely avoided reading this book because I always said I don't want to die having read everything by Dostoevsky. But I decided this will be a good book to get me back into reading and away from movies. I feel guilty about putting the Mona Lisa up when it's just too much of a McDonald's picture in terms of how popular it is. So I called a friend of mine, and I'll start putting her paintings up because there's great art out there that should be shown everywhere as often as possible. Not the Mona Lisa. Everybody's seen the Mona Lisa. I think it's got plenty of attention by now. So this artist friend of mine has been doing painting 14 hours a day for the last 25 years, so I imagine she's pretty good. So I'll start putting that art in for my after credit scenes. A friend of mine, he's not a friend anymore, always listened to hip-hop music, and he would tell me that it's geeky to play chess. I'm geeky for playing chess, or I'm geeky for studying classical music. But it's cool to be a DJ or to listen to hip-hop music. And we need to get away from that. That's really disgusting, and there's nothing geekier than trying to be cool. So in my book, he's the geeky one. And somebody who actually has a real passion for something and doesn't really care about whether it's popular, that's the coolest thing in the world. So I'm bringing geeky back, but it never was geeky. Yeah, let's celebrate fine art and counterpoint and literature, and let's make fun of geeky shit like comic book movies. Let's be honest. And let's make fun of things like The Family Guy and like all this garbage and The Big Bang Theory. Like, you're a frickin' dork if you watch The Big Bang Theory. Like, you're retarded. And I'm fond of calling people retarded because they don't feel so cool when you're telling them that they're retarded. And the best part or the worst part is that they actually are retarded.